Hey everyone, I'm Audrey Miller, the broker owner of Northwest Wisconsin Realty Team, and I want to invite you to my Living in Hayward, Wisconsin channel. Today we're going to talk about 5 myths that apply to real estate, most for buyers, but there's one for you too, sellers. So stay tuned. One of the myths that I run into a lot when working with buyers in particular is they think that they need to obtain the pre-approval after they found a home instead of the other way around. So they'll get a hold of me, they'll want to go see houses, and when I inquire about a pre-approval, they say something like, well, I want to find the house I want first, and then I'll go ahead and talk to a lender. I don't want to waste my time getting a pre-approval if I don't know that I found a house that I like. When in reality, the reverse is actually true. There are numerous reasons why it's better to obtain your pre-approval prior to starting to work with a realtor and looking for a house. The first reason is because you don't know what you can afford if you don't have your pre-approval and haven't spoken with a lender. So you don't want to be looking at properties that are $350,000 when you can only afford $275,000. That leads to a lot of disappointments, a lot of wasted time. So that's the first reason. Secondly is in a competitive market like we've experienced for the last number of years and that is continuing into 2024, most buyers do have their pre-approval in hand. So not having one will put you at a disadvantage if you were in a competitive situation in terms of offers. Definitely best to be prepared with your pre-approval. And getting a pre-approval is simple, it's quick. Most lenders will have you fill out a simple online form or obtain some information from you, and you can get a pre-approval in an hour or two with literally 15 or 20 minutes of time spent on it. So it's not a big hurdle to overcome, but definitely an advantage to have that when you're beginning to look at properties. The second thing is, another myth that I run into a lot is the cost to buy a house when you're on the, buyer side, of course. Buyers often think they just need their down payment, but there's actually other costs as well that a buyer will incur. One of those is your lender closing costs if you're getting financing for the property. And those will vary, but they can be anywhere from maybe $1,500 to $3,000, depending on your lender and the type of loan that you're obtaining. So you have that additional cost, plus inspections are typically paid by the buyer. And then there's a couple other nominal costs as well. But it's best to be prepared for these various costs when you are figuring your budget, which includes a down payment, but also some other items. On the flip side, a lot of people think that they need 20% to be able to buy a house. And really, a lot of times as small as a 10% and even down to no down payment or 3 to 3.5% is quite doable with a lot of loan programs, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. So there's lots of options out there. Don't assume you need a huge amount of cash reserves to be able to make a home purchase. Get a hold of me and find out what you might need. And I have some great local lenders that I work with here that I would highly recommend that can also answer those questions for you. You will pay PMI, private mortgage insurance, if you put less than 20% down, but a lot of times that keeps some extra cash in your pocket and is not going to break the bank on a monthly basis. The other item you will need funds for is homeowner's insurance. That may be rolled into your monthly payment on the loan, but you'll still likely need to be paying something for that up front, and definitely you're going to have to obtain that before closing on the house. Here's one for sellers. Number 3, renovating your house before selling will bring a higher price. This is not necessarily true. A lot of times sellers think they have to do major upgrades or updates, and honestly, more often than not, you won't end up getting that money back out. Let's say your whole house needs new flooring and you're putting in vinyl laminate plank flooring and maybe some carpet in the bedrooms, and the whole cost is $20,000. Will you be able to charge $20,000 more for your home? Likely not. So it's always best to get a hold of an experienced real estate agent and find out what are the improvements that should be done that will help your place to sell that you can get your money back on, and which items should you simply leave for another new buyer to improve if they choose to do so. Buyers do like move-in ready, that's true, but you have to weigh the pros and cons of the money you spend when you are looking to sell your house. A lot of times you may come out just as good or better by not doing all of the updates and spending that time and money. And it may not impact your price as much as you think. Number 4, Under contract is not the same as sold. I often will hear sellers or buyers referring to a property as being sold when it's simply under contract. There's a lot of things that need to still happen after a property's under contract, including any contingencies of the offer, such as inspections, appraisal, financing. Sometimes there's a home sale contingency. So unless it is a cash offer with no contingencies, it is very likely that there are some steps that need to be done prior to the sale actually being complete and the funds exchanging hands. So contingent, under contract, active offer, that does not mean sold. However, the hope is that it does sell, obviously, and goes to closing. The other item related to that is that the price that it's actually selling for is not available until after closing. That's not public information. So when you're looking online and you see, oh, this house is under contract, the list price was $310,000. That does not mean that it sold for $310,000. It could be higher or lower. Or keep in mind that when the buyer and seller get to the inspection stage of the process, there may also be concessions for items that need to be repaired after closing. So just keep it in mind when you're using the word sold when a property is really under contract as a more applicable term. And then number 5, this is mostly on the buyer side. There's a myth that in our specific area where we have kind of a seasonal real estate time frame, especially for on-water properties, that you will get a better deal in late summer or early fall. Buyers often think that if they wait to shop for a home or a cabin until September or October, they're going to get a better deal. As of this recording in 2024, it has been a seller's market for quite a long time, and sellers are still in the driver's seat whatever time of year it may be. You really won't get a deal just because it's the end of the season. You can expect to possibly have less competition since some people don't want to buy in the fall, so that may be to your advantage as a buyer. But the prices will be very, very similar to what they are in the spring or summer. The main time of year when properties will be very low in inventory and you'd have the least competition for buying is in the winter time. But a lot of buyers don't want to purchase a home, especially on water, when there's snow and ice on the ground. So unfortunately, the myth of a late summer, early fall sale is just that. It's a myth. Follow me on YouTube, subscribe, like my channel, and feel free to contact me anytime for more information on living in Hayward or buying or selling real estate in Hayward.